What's up, the internet? It's good to be back. This is the EXP Expo 2022, the one with all the twos, part 22. So many twos. Yes. I want to thank everybody who's hung out. We've been doing this over 45 hours now, over the last 8+ days. I don't know how many days are in a week. It's been like a week and a day. I don't know how many days that is. But we are very excited for this is our last panel. And we saved for our last panel the only person who is on the experience as much as I am, Dan Wickline, who will be here in just a moment. But I'm rejoined by Jenna, who I want to take this opportunity to plug. Jenna has a new show coming out.
Yeah.
Goes in my favor on Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific time, called Space Cadets. That's CADETTES, with Bean, who interviewed Miss Jen. You met her, and Shanice, who you haven't met yet, but I guarantee you will. That show is debuting later this week. It's put together by Jenna and her husband Jay, and a bunch of great folks. So be on the lookout for that. Now, the person who is responsible for the Dan Wickline show and Popco the Writers, and who is the other half of me on in stores this week, Dan Wickline.
Hello.
Hey, I noticed my new little bumper made you laugh. I mean, it made me happy.
The experience.
Yes, I was just sitting there. I've been watching it all day, and I'm like, he sounds so excited.
Yes.
Well, that's the joke. I could have tried to mimic the character, but I'm like, no, that wouldn't be funny. If I just go, the experience.
Yeah, the deadpan is what works.
Yeah.
So, all right. So I'm gonna. Nobody wants to hear me talk to Dan. We do it all the time.
We do.
It's pretty common around here. So I'm gonna let Jenna interview Dan about Karma, Dan's Kickstarter. The link is in the description and will be in the comments, so you can back it. But right now, I'm gonna throw the challenge down. I want Dan is 799 backers. By the time this show is over, I want that number to be divisible by 2.
Well, I mean, 799 is divisible by 2, but then you get into the
into an even number.
Oh, okay.
A whole number. So our goal is 4 or 6 or 10. No, 10 won't work.
No.
Does it have to be a prime number? Jenna's the mathematician here. So I'll let you figure that out, but I'm just going to put the link in the comments and let you all talk.
Yes. Little side note. My degree was in applied mathematics, not, whatever it is you're trying to talk about, Kyle.
Still more math than I did in college.
My math was all about languages. Come on, man.
I was fascinated by the people in the comic industry and what their backgrounds are. I'm an ex-computer programmer and photographer, and I ended up as a writer. So
yeah, I have my bachelor's and associates in applied mathematics with focus on the mathematical applications in languages, because I speak 4 or 5 at this point. So and somehow I ended up in a comic store with a show where I get to talk about comics with like 2 of my besties, and it's so great. It's so diverse out there.
Yeah. Well, really you look at somebody like Matt Hawkins, who is an actual physicist, and he's running Topco.
Oh wow, yeah. And then Steve Orlando, I think his degree was in Russian literature.
Mm. Now, see, I could see that working, especially if you're doing like Black Widow.
Yeah. Okay.
That would make sense, but yeah.
And Kyle has a degree in sales and marketing for media, broadcasting, communications, audio production, and graphic design. See, now that is just perfect for being a producer of shows.
I have 4 degrees and I use none of them.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. So kind of tell us a little bit, like, have you used any part of your degree, like, that's translated to kind of like everything that you do in the comic book industry?
A bit, because I do a lot of computer stuff. A couple years ago, I started up Dynamite Books with Nick, and I started doing these novels. And I was doing more than just writing them. I was doing the graphics. I was doing the videos. I was doing, I was doing the typesetting and the whole thing. So, and I was also doing the audio books. I'd get these files from the narrators, and I'd have to make them into the specs that Audible wanted. So I've ended up doing a lot of computer work, but my actual degree was in business programming. I used to work for one of the major hospital firms out there,
Wow.
and I wrote collection programs. I mean, that just shows you, yeah, there's no way that ties to comics other than, hey, you haven't picked up your books this week. We need your money.
I mean, wow, that is such a, like, how did you, like, now I'm really wanting to know, how did you go from like studying that and doing all that and then getting into comics then?
I always wanted to do comics. I had an experience when I was 11 years old. I went to a convention in Los Angeles, and I met Carolyn Monroe, Walter Koenig, and Jack Kirby.
Oh my God.
And I walked out of there going, A, women are cute. B, the Star Trek thing's kind of cool. And C, the comic book industry is the greatest industry ever, and I want to work in it. So yeah, that from that point forward, and then I was like into theater and stuff like that in high school. But my dad was always the type that was, you have to have a job.
Yeah.
You can do those fun things, but you have to pay the bills.
Yeah.
And my dad was the type that never took days off sick. He always got to work because he had his family to take care of. And, I respected the hell out of that. But, so I looked at, well, writing and stuff like that, that's a crapshoot. You never know if you're going to make it. And once getting into the industry is only half of it. Staying in the industry is the tough part. So I always thought, well, I need that backup job. And computers came incredibly easy for me. It's kind of scary because my girlfriend at the time was taking computer courses, and I just took this basic low-level computer class, and then I'd go to the lab with her and I'd do my quick assignment. Then I'd sit there and watch her program and catch her spelling errors and stuff like that. And then the next year came around, and I needed a class, and one of the programming languages was open that I watched her take. And I took it just to fill a slot. Went up there, spent one night in the class, went, oh, I get this. Went down and did all 8 assignments in the final in a week, and was like, okay. And it just kind of ended up in programming after that. So, but it bored the hell out of me. It really did.
Yeah. Why does that always happen? Like, the things that we're best at, that we could really excel at, we're just bored.
Yeah. Well, I used to do a lot of writing at work, and a lot of my companies knew that, because there was one job I was basically a firefighter. I was basically the on-call guy for 60 different companies, and I could be on a plane, in 20 minutes basically. We were about 10 blocks from John Wayne Airport, and I always had a go bag. So if somebody's system crashed, I was on a plane, and so it was constantly like that. I did that for 3 years, where I was traveling constantly, and I was good at it. I was good at the firefighting thing, but it took a lot of stress and toll on me. And I tried to do the job from a more relaxed company, and still would like, okay, well, we need you to do this part of the project, and these people are going to do their part, and you're going to get 6 weeks to do it. Yeah, I need 2 days. Yeah, but you get 6 weeks. So I would write scripts and stuff like crazy until I had 3 days left, and I'd scurry through and get my part done. And
I mean, it's not procrastination when you know you can get it done in 2 days, right?
yeah. And I work better under stress. I'm not good at having lots of lead time. I need that. Somebody looking. Oh my God, we need it now. Okay.
I like to do everything like as soon as somebody tells me about I need to get something done, I get it done right then and there, and then I never have to think about it again. Because if I do think about it again, I'll go in and keep tweaking it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No. I'm a last minute guy. But I need that stress. I need that. One of my bosses actually told me that he would take me to any job site he had to go on, but he hated when we were just at the office.
Oh.
He's like, yeah, because you're not going to do anything while we're just sitting around the office. But on a job site, I once turned in a timesheet that was 128 hours in a week.
Wow. Did you sleep at all? Like,
very little.
Did you just eat and work at the same time just to?
Yeah, pretty much. I somehow I got nicknamed the Quiet Man at that site. They even someone even got an engraved pen that said that for me as a gift.
Do you still have it?
I do somewhere, yeah. So it was a very nice pen, but yeah. So yeah, I mean, I can focus on, but then I can do comic scripts. I had Xenoscope call me up one night and said, we were supposed to have a script to a guy tomorrow, and the writer forgot. And I'm like, who's the writer? He goes, I am. I'm like, okay, Joe. What's the story? He told me the story. He goes, I need it by noon tomorrow. By 9 a.m. I turned it over to him. So,
oh my gosh. So definitely you're sort of like last minute under pressure, like working for like the office and stuff like that. Definitely translated over to like your writing.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I do need that pressure. I need that last minute thing. And it's worked on just about anything I've worked on, But if I have so much lead time, I get bored. My mind wanders. I play Warcraft too much, anything that can distract me. And then suddenly it's like, oh, I got an hour left. Hang on.
Goodness. And so what was it like? So that's definitely what you did with like main like companies with your like monthly books and stuff like that, like with Xenoscope and other companies. How did that translate into having something for Kickstarter, like what you have right now?
This was kind of interesting because my writing has changed a bit over the last few years. Getting into novels has kind of given me this new way of writing. The first novel I ever wrote was the stupidest thing I ever did. I decided to write it live on Twitter. So it wasn't pre-written. I didn't write it and then just post it. I literally, and this was back when it was still 144 characters.
Oh, man.
Not even the bigger one now. So everything was written in these little sentences, and I would do a chapter every other day. And once I did that, it kind of taught me how to pace myself a little better. So to sit down and write a 120-page graphic novel definitely was more that style. So it wasn't one that I really, it wasn't a last minute script. 22-page script, I got like that. 120 pages, needed a little more finesse to it. But all I really did was I sat down and I went, okay, these are the scenes I want to happen. And then I started writing. I didn't really plan it out too much because I wanted the characters to push the story, So, I mean, I have two very unique characters here. I have a very straight-laced photographer who comes out of an advertising field into, into this modeling world. And the modeling world is like nothing. If you've never been part of it, it's like nothing you'll ever experience otherwise. It's just really different. There's an openness to it that is stunning. I've worked with a lot of models, some of which who have had adult backgrounds, some who don't, but all of them, there's a freedom to it and an openness, which you'll find I have there's one particular model I worked with from Texas, and I remember doing a shoot with her where we're in a hotel room somewhere in LA. I'm taking pictures of her. She's nude. But as we're shooting, my thing is to get the model as comfortable as possible. So we're joking, we're talking, whatever. And the conversation turns to her childhood. And she tells me about how she grew up with her dad was the local coroner and mortician.
Oh.
And how she used to help him with autopsies at the age of like 7, 8, 9, So it's a very strange conversation to be having with a naked woman.
Yes.
And that's kind of where this story comes from, is this collection of really bizarre moments of my life that, and it's not just from the modeling stuff. When you're standing in the middle of a San Diego Convention Center and you're having a conversation with Gene Simmons, just because you're both waiting to talk to the same guy. When you step back in reality, you go, that's really weird, but it's not, because that's just so a lot of the events in this book are based on real things that happened to me. Having a model trip and fall into my arms at one point while on the set of an adult film. I got asked to go to a porn parody for Supergirl. This was before I started working for Bleeding Cool, but Rich is in England. Rich Johnson couldn't come out. They really wanted somebody from Bleeding Cool to go. So I ended up going for Rich. It was before I ever started working there. It was my first thing. And just had this model walking through the kitchen area, and they had marble floor with like deep grout things, high heels catch. Next thing you know, she's fallen. I reach out, grab her, pull her in so she doesn't fall. And to have this really weird moment where she just kind of lingers there for a minute. And I end up using that as part of the story in Karma, because it's an interesting icebreaker when you catch somebody before they fall, feet first into marble,
Yeah.
So, or another scene in the book is Alex gets pulled in by Karma's roommate. They're having a conversation, but she has to get ready to go. So she's like, well, come talk to me in here. Pulls him into the bathroom, has him sit on the toilet while she takes a shower. Now, I had this one model who, anytime I went to go visit her and I were also good friends. So we would get together and just go out and get dinner, go see a movie. I'd go down, and sure enough, she's like, okay, I got to get in the shower. And I'd be expected to go hang out in the bathroom with her while she's taking a shower. So yeah, it's just really weird moments like that. Or she was actually on a Playboy TV show for a while. And the first time I ever went to go hang out with her, she asked me to help her go through the footage that she was in to try to pick some that she could send her mom. Things that she's not nude in. So it's like, yeah, oh yeah, you're doing a good scene there. Nice.
Yeah, that's really
Yeah.
We had very different experiences with the model world. My little sister, she just turned 18. Ever since she was like 3 months old, she's been a child model. And my stepmom would drag me around everywhere to do the hair and makeup. So my experience with the modeling world is going to these sets with 5 to 10 little girls and little boys where they're like, do you have hairspray? I need hairspray. And you're just like, you're 4. And then there's me. So there's about a 15-year age difference. So here's me at like 16, 17, 18. All these kids, and I was that goth kid who had like the goth makeup and hair and everything, and they're like, you can do makeup, go do that, kid. And I'm like, it's a kid. So very different. It's really cool to hear like other different like stories of a different side.
Hey, Kyle, can we make the pictures the same size? I don't need to be big and her small. Can we just be equal, Kyle? Come on, Kyle.
Well, you're the person. You're the main
No,
person.
we're having a conversation. Come on, I'm on
Here.
this network all the time.
There,
Thank
is that
you.
better?
That's much better. So yeah, I've had a lot of really strange adventures, and being able to pull some of them into this story was a lot of fun, and kind of sew them in. I'm not going to say all of which are real and which ones aren't, because there's some pretty wild stuff that happens in the book, so don't want to get too much into that, but wait for me to go to the other room a little more next time, guys. Okay.
Yes, that's always how it works, right? As soon as you stand up, something.
Oh, Kyle, you're the producer. You're supposed to be on cue at all times, man.
He's had a very long week. I'm glad I could help out.
I literally went to grab a Gatorade.
Good timing. Good timing.
Oh my gosh! So I was checking out your Kickstarter earlier. It looks like you hit your goal. How fast did you hit it?
It was within the first 20 minutes.
Nice. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
But to be honest, I'll give you a Kickstarter secret is that most companies and most people that put Kickstarters out there, that first goal is never what they need, but they want to be able to come back and say, "Oh, we funded quickly."
Yeah.
Oh, we funded, because then you have a talking point, and you need those talking points. Oh, we made this stretch goal and that stretch goal and stuff like that. It's so you have new things to talk about. So yeah, there was no way, $2,500 is not what you need to put out a graphic novel. We appreciated how quickly we got to it, and it just kept going and going and going and going. So I am absolutely floored by how well this is doing. I've talked to a bunch of Kickstarter or people that do Kickstarters all the time, and they're all like, "Dude, that's awesome. I mean, your first Kickstarter."
Yeah.
I'm like, I got lucky on cover artists, and
I don't know if you can tell, I literally have a whole bookshelf of Kickstarters that I find all the time. My favorite thing to get is the stickers. And the books. I love the books.
Yeah. And this is a tough one because it's really hard to decide what the stretch goals are going to be, because a lot of the material is rather adult, and we're pitching to a specific audience. The same people that go for like Sunstone or Swing from those books from Top Cow, or Sweet Paprika, which is probably why we got Stepan Sejic and Mirka Andolfo to do covers.
Oh,
yeah. The Mirka one's gorgeous. The Stepan Sejic one is just amazing.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and then we've also got Michael DePascal, and there's two versions of this one because there's also a naughty version of this one.
Ooh.
Yes. Michael, what's funny is Michael I'd worked with before on a book over at Avatar called God is Dead, the Hickman book.
Yeah.
There was always a backup story, and we did the last backup story when the series ended. So we were in the last 8 episodes. So we did this backup story in that. So when it came time to find a cover artist, I know that Nick and them were looking, they wanted Sejic and they wanted Andolfo. And I'm like, yeah, but we should get Michael DePascal. He does gorgeous covers. He's doing all these Lady Death covers now too. And if you look online, it's pretty close between the Sejic cover and Michael, which one is, the better seller. So
which one's your favorite?
Ooh. I think the Michael's just slightly because he was working from photos that I've taken.
Oh, okay.
So I was able to send him a couple, and I went, these let these inspire you. Where Stepan just kind of showed up and went, here you go, and we went, thank you. It's gorgeous. But what's JD saying? Dan, I think you should make a comic book about me. I think it will sell really well. The story could be how all these women love me and I hate to date all these supermodels.
Oh my goodness. Oh, the descent into chaos is lovely.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Dwayne's got it right though. It is tough to choose because all three of those covers are gorgeous.
Yes, they really
Yeah.
are. Oh my goodness. So like how many more days are left on there? And what is like the main, like, what is the big goal you want to, like, what is your dream goal that you could hit?
I really would love to see us break 50.
Okay.
And usually there's a big push at the end. So I think it's plausible. But again, at this point, I'm just happy to have almost 800 backers. I mean, it just blows my mind. Like I said, for a while there, we were doing like 1,000 a day. Every day we were going up another 1,000. It slowed down a little bit, but we've got some interesting stretch goals in mind, and we're talking about maybe offering another cover.
Ooh.
That would actually be a photo cover from something I've done. So we'll have to see if that happens.
Yes,
But,
definitely. I'm super excited. I believe in you. I think you will. I think you'll get the big one, and everybody can get the fancy things. And so have you guys thought about, like, on the stretch goals? Because I know a lot of the ones that I've backed, they've done like metal cards or pins or stickers. Is it little things like that you guys are might think about?
well, right now what they're doing trading cards, and they're taking the actual some of the more risque moments from the book and making trading cards out of them, which just blew my mind. Like, that's what we're doing.
That's what
Yeah.
works. Like I have the metal card for Cinderella from Xenoscope.
Mm-hmm.
And the one that I think I have is one where she looks like she's in a blue bikini and she's just looking at you. And those ones have always been like my favorite personally.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people that I've shown it to, they're like, "Oh, that's so awesome. Can I get one?" And I'm like, "No, it's mine."
Yeah. Xenoscope I did a lot of work for Xenoscope before, and they're always fun because these covers come out, and as I look at, I'll be at a convention, somebody will walk up with a cover that I've never seen before on a book I've written. And it's like,
Yeah.
I'll sign it, but I want to know, where can I get one? Jeez.
Right.
Yeah.
So I do have a confession to make. I've actually been reading Xenoscope since they first came out. I actually
Mm-hmm.
had the original Grimm Fairy Tales, like, first prints of, like, the main series Grimm Fairy Tales. And then I had every single one through 50, and then I lost it all in a house fire, and now I have the trades. And so I actually own every single trade that Xenoscope has ever put out. And before I ever met you, I knew about you. And then, like, they were like, "Oh yeah, Dan Wickline." I was like, "Dan Wickline?" I like, wait a minute, like, hold on. Like, I think it was like for 2 months. Like, we were talking about, like, because I was running the social media at the time. So
Mm-hmm.
we were talking all the time, and every single time your name would pop, I'd be like, "Why can't I remember this?" And then we moved. I got my house, and we moved, and I was like, oh, and I never had the moment to tell you, to be like, "Look, everything you've ever written for Xenoscope, I own."
Well, thank you.
So, without even knowing it, I am one of your biggest fans. I love Xenoscope. This was the very first comic that I found on my own.
Mm-hmm.
I walked into a comic shop that used to be here back when I was in high school, show my age a little bit, and there was Grimm Fairy Tales #1 on the shelf, and I picked it up, and it was just like, I fell in love instantly. And like, it's I think the only ones I'm missing is the main original storyline, I think the last trade, and that's it. I literally own everything else. And like, just thank you. I've always wanted to say that, like, just I love the stories. All of them. Just like, I wish I could show you, but there's 2 of these that are all Xenoscope. Like, here's the first one, and then there's another one below it, and some more over there. So my loving husband over here is finally gonna, like, cut off my gushing for a minute there. And Dan, is there a genre you haven't written yet but would like to? And what is your favorite genre? And also, by the way, my brother Sean Butler and my husband Jay Burns watch almost all your shows too.
Well, thank you guys. I'm glad you watch and enjoy. And as for a favorite genre, I kind of consider myself a mystery writer. So no matter what genre I'm writing, there tends to be a mystery to them. And I've written so many different genres at this point. There's been genres I've written that I didn't know I was writing. You know, I didn't know what urban fantasy was until I had 2 books out in my Lucius Fogg series. And somebody went, "Oh, you're writing urban fantasy." I'm doing what? What the hell is that? Yeah. I've written military fiction, which again wasn't something I planned on, but I got that call. I've written westerns and horror and wow, what haven't I? Well, I guess I can knock off erotic romance now.
That's 2 genres.
though I will admit, and I haven't admitted this too much, but my first ever paid for writing work was a one of those letters to an adult magazine. Got $50 for it. So yeah, it's kind of bringing it all full circle back to where I started. Yeah. Yeah. What genre haven't I written? I don't know. I've done comedy. I would love to do more superhero stuff. Bottom line is I love writing superheroes. One of my favorite books I've gotten to write, besides probably Sinbad and Shadowhawk are the 2. But superhero wise, the closest I've gotten is Shadowhawk. And then, I've gotten to write Tom Judge some over at Top Cow. And those, I love writing superheroes. I mean, that's what I grew up with. I grew up reading, my first comic ever was a Captain America. My favorite characters at Marvel is Daredevil, and at DC it's Green Arrow. I would love to write those 2, either one of them. So yeah, I just want to write more superheroes, but yeah, I enjoy writing any genre because I don't write genres. I write characters. So basically I sit down and I just want to tell a story with these characters, and the situation is the genre.
Yeah.
So, and it just changes, but.
That's awesome. So I do have a genre idea. What about zombie hitmen?
Zombie hitmen.
Mm-hmm.
The closest thing I've written to, I've done a couple zombie type stories, but I had a short story I wrote that that almost got me in trouble at PhoenixCon.
Oh no.
It was a story of a zombie detective, and I ended up bringing him into Lucius Fogg. So this character ended up into my novels, but it was basically about this detective that is investigating a corrupt landfill setting, gets dumped into toxic waste, comes back to life as a zombie. But I went for kind of the old 30s styles detective title and just called it The Stiff Dick. Because back then dicks were detectives and a dead body's a stiff, so it just made sense. But I was at a panel at the PhoenixCon, and we were talking about zombies, and I told that story, but I wasn't going to tell. And Arthur Saddam was sitting next to me, and he's like, no, you have to say the name. And I said, all right. So I said, and everybody went, oh my God.
Oh my God, that sounds amazing. Oh, all right. So looks like Sean had a question. If you could write a Green Arrow story, what would be the basic synopsis?
Green Arrow, I love what Jeff Loeb did with Hush. Yeah, that's probably my favorite Batman story. I also love what Kevin Smith did with Green Arrow. But if I was going to do Green Arrow, what I'd want to do is do like a maxi series, like a 12-issue take. But I'd want to dive back into some of his old classic villains. I'd want to put him on some kind of journey that would put him against these older villains that he went up against, because most of his villains are very 70s ish, 60s ish campy, and I'd want to do like a fresh take on them, and just through the whole thing reestablish his rogues gallery, because he really doesn't have one. If you watch the Arrow TV show, half the villains they borrow are from other, they use are, it's Batman villains, and so he's got Clock King and stuff like that. So so Merlin is probably they call him the Dark Archer, but Merlin is probably his best known villain. And so I definitely would like to do something like that, where you really dive deep into the character, you get rid of all the sidekicks and stuff like that, and you go back into his past. If the only other person that should be involved is Black Canary, because Black Canary should be involved in every Green Arrow story.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Jay had a question for you. He's a big fan of horror comics. Do you have any recommendations, whether you wrote them or not?
Okay, yeah. 30 Days of Night is probably one of the best horror franchises out there. I did get to play a little bit with it, but Ben Templesmith and Steve Niles created an amazing world there. Another good horror series is, I think, Swamp Thing. It's kind of a classic, but the Alan Moore's run on Swamp Thing is great. I did a horror book with I did a lot of co-writing with Steve Niles when I first started, and he and I did a lot of horror together. But there was a book we did that's available in trade called Savage. It came out from Shadowline, and the art is by Mike Mayhew. It is absolutely gorgeous, and it's basically what if Bigfoot was a monster hunter.
I love it. I'm already in love with it. Take my money. Here.
and what's funny is we were working with another guy named Jeff Frank, and it was Jeff's concept that Steve was going to help him with. And then Steve got busy, so I came in to actually do the scripts. So Jeff and Steve would give me the plot, and then I'd write the scripts. And there was always a lot of dialogue, a lot of just extemporaneous, just the main character's talking, but he's by himself. So it's like he's just talking out loud to nothing. So in the very first scene, he severs the head of a siren.
Ooh.
Well, he takes it with him to get away. He uses it as a kind of a weapon. And was it a siren or a gorgon?
So the sirens sing, and a gorgon turns people to stone.
Yeah. So the head was important. So he takes the head back to his car, and he puts it in a plastic bag, and it sits on his seat through all 4 issues. And he's constantly talking to this head. And I would get notes from this guy, Jeff. And the first thing he'd say in his plot outlines would be like, he throws away the head and then goes on. And I would ignore that and just keep using the head for the exposition, because it made more sense for him, for this crazy old guy to be talking to this severed head, than it did for him just to be talking out on his own, So it's a great series, and Mike Mayhew's art is just stunningly gorgeous on it.
And you just got a congrats for hitting 800 backers.
Oh, thank you, Dwayne. That is awesome.
That is an
Very
even
cool.
number. Not a prime number quite yet.
Hmm.
I think the next prime number is 11.
We're at 801, so we need one more person to back so that the number is divisible by 2. That was our goal. Have a number that's evenly divisible by 2 to celebrate 2022, the EXP Expo 2, the one with all the 2s.
What I love about the name of this expo is it literally was across 5 or 6 different people trying to figure out what to name this. Like, it was literally like our entire household and Kyle just being like, oh, let's do the one with all the 2s. Yeah, that's the perfect name.
I love when I was working on, speaking of 30 Days a Night, I was doing a book with Steve, and it was a happenstance book. We were this shows you how long ago. We were chatting in AOL Instant Messenger.
Oh.
And he was working on a book that there was a vampire was being dissected in an autopsy, and he was trying to figure out what organs would they not need to still be alive. And I responded. I said, well, obviously lungs. because they can live underground, so they don't need to breathe. And so we joked about that, and I said, they would make great great astronauts. Vampire astronauts would make a great. And we joked about it, and we had maybe a 10, 15-minute thing just back and forth. And then we're going on, and I'm still I'm messaging him, but I'm writing about something. And he comes back, he goes, all right, Milks is going to draw it for us. And I went, Milks is drawing what? He goes, our vampire astronaut story. I'm like, we have a story? He's like, well, yeah. I said, okay. He says, but let's call it Sucker Knot. I'm like, no, we're not calling it Sucker Knot. He's like, no, Sucker Knot would be a great name. Like, no, Sucker Knot is not going to be a great name. And at this point, we hadn't even tied it into 30 Days a Night. So he just wanted it to be called Sucker Knot.
He found a name and he wanted to use it.
Yep. So the way Steve and I tend to work is I would write the first pass of the script. He would do a pass, and then I would do one more, and then we'd turn it in. And usually what it meant was that I would write the script and he put in all the dirty words. And then, because
God.
Yeah, he's good at the cursing. But so we started working on this, and as it got closer and closer, I'm like, we can't call it Sucker Knot. That's insane. And he's like, no, it'll be fine. He says, well, you come up with a better name, and then we'll go with it. And I'm racking my brain, and we're at the point, literally the next day, we have to go forward with a name.
Oh,
and I'm laying in bed, and I'm tossing and turning, and my ex-wife now, but my wife rolls over and she goes, are you still trying to think of a name? I said, yeah. She goes, just call it Dead Space and be done with it. So we did 30 Days a Night, Dead Space.
Yes.
And then we did the follow-up, Spreading the Disease, and all because of AOL Instant Messenger.
Oh my God. I am so, that's amazing. That is, I love all day. All day it's been amazing little stories, and I'm just so happy. So we got about like 10 or 15 minutes left. I have two very important questions. I have a serious one and a fun one.
Okay.
Which one do you want to do first?
Go with the serious one. End on fun.
Serious one. Okay, so this is something I've been asking everybody today also. With the paper shortages that we are going through right now, how do you feel about so many creators and other people are talking about doing at least their first issue digitally, so that way it can at least get the story out there, versus doing like paper, like doing both, or
I
one or the other?
I am a proponent of doing both, but I do think that there should be a discount for digital. I know now when we first put up the Kickstarter, there was no digital option. And I got about 7 people got a hold of me right away going, digital? And so I got a hold of the guys who were running the thing for me. I'm like, digital? And they're like, oh yeah, sure. And I figured there'd be a handful of people, but there's a huge number of people who are picking up the digital option. But if you think about it, you don't have the shipping costs. You just eliminate a lot of that stuff, and you can get it to them faster.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I am a proponent of digital, but then I haven't probably bought an actual printed book in a long time. I do everything through Audible. I like listening to my books. So yeah, modern technology I'm good for.
So, but do you still like doing like physical, so that way it could be like how you're doing with your Kickstarter?
Well, yeah,
doing like the many different covers, because I'm a big fan of doing both. I like to be able to get the digital, because I am half blind, so I like to make things bigger so I can actually see it or turn up the brightness. Mm-hmm. But I also like physically having it. There's just something about like I get to pick such a pretty cover, and then I have it, and then once my eyes are gonna be finally better, I'll be able to like actually like see it. You know what I mean?
I am a proponent of both, because there's a lot of people who don't like digital, but they want to have that physical copy. There are certain books that I will listen to, but I'll still go pick up a copy because I want it. Mm-hmm. The first Star Wars: The High Republic book, I was so impressed by that that I ordered a physical copy, even though I'd already listened to it. I haven't read it, haven't cracked the spine on it. I'm a big Dresden Files fan. Once I found out there was urban fantasy, I started listening to Dresden Files. Now I've listened to all of them.
Nice.
I've got a good number of them in actual hardback. Some of them signed by Jim himself, Jim Butcher. And, I'm a, huge fan of that. Yeah. By the way, it's funny when you go to a convention. I was at a convention that Jim Butcher was at, as well as Pierce Brown, the guy that does, and they decided, let's have them all do a signing in the signing area at the same time.
What?
So
Chaos.
you've got Jim Butcher over here with this huge line, and then you got Pierce Brown on my left with a good line. I mean, a good sign, not as big as Jim's, but still respectable line. I've got 3 people. I am literally talking to Jim's people as they leave, trying to sell my book to them.
Oh my gosh, that is amazing. Oh, all right. So, are you ready for the fun question?
Yes.
This is also something I've asked everybody all day today. I'm not exactly sure where you are, but I know everywhere else in the country it's like really, really cold. I think Kyle told me it's like 3 or 2 or something where he is. Mm-hmm. And then where I'm at, it literally like 2 days ago was 75, and then yesterday it was like 25.
It got up to 9, but that's just warm enough to make black ice.
Ooh, 9.
Which I fell on, so like win-win.
Kyle, I shake my finger at you.
It's currently 65 degrees here.
You know what? You're showing off at this point. So, in the cold weather, I have to know, what is your favorite type of grilled cheese sandwich? Like, what would you make for your perfect grilled cheese sandwich, and what soup would you go with it?
Okay. I am not a fan of most cheeses. I'm kind of funny that way. So when I make a grilled cheese, what I do is sourdough bread.
Ooh, okay.
Mozzarella cheese.
Ooh.
And thin sliced ham, especially honey baked ham. Ooh. Put that together. And then tomato soup. Tomato soup is the obvious go-to when it comes to grilled cheese. So, yeah, my mother's a huge grilled cheese fan, and I do the cooking around here. So I end up making I make grilled cheese probably 3 times a month, sometimes more. It's funny. I made yesterday. I made creamy garlic shrimp toast.
Ooh.
Okay.
Ooh.
And that was just an afternoon. Try it. Let's make this. I've made in the last few weeks. I made Diablo chicken. I've made buffalo chicken mac and cheese. If you follow me on Facebook, I post whenever I try something new. I've made a lot. My mother's favorite meals are grilled cheese. If I make up a salad and I throw popcorn chicken in it that I get from a bag, frozen bag. Those are her favorite meals. She could care less about the other stuff. That's the stuff she loves.
Oh my gosh, that sounds so good right now. I haven't eaten yet today because I've been busy with interviews. As soon as we get done today, though, I'm going to a little place called House of Pies, where I don't know if you guys know about it. It's kind of a staple down here where we're at in South Texas. Well, at least in the Woodlands. It's a good old country home cooking of epic proportions and tasty deliciousness.
Well, see, now I've got a question for you.
Okay.
Is a pie still a pie if it's crustless?
No.
Thank you. I have had that debate.
Who asked you that question?
Oh my God.
Oh man.
A woman named Salome Jones, who edits all my novels, one time said she was making a crustless apple pie. I said, no, you're not.
That turns into either like a strudel or
an apple crumble.
Yes, a crumble. Yes,
it's an apple crumble at that point. But she's like, no, it's a crustless apple pie. So I even wrote it into a novel, the argument back and forth. Yes, Kyle.
Oh, how do the physics on a crustless apple pie work?
I'm confused as well.
Right, any crustless pie defies the laws of physics.
Mm-hmm. By the way, for me, a pie should have a crust on the bottom. When they give you a chicken pot pie and it's just got the crust on the top, I want to smack them.
All right, I'm gonna give you guys a little in Chicago. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Pizza pot pie.
Okay, Chicago pizza is a pot pie.
No. It's they make it like you'd make a chicken pot pie,
Uh-huh.
but it's pizza inside. And so then
Okay,
they
so
bring it
it's
to
like-
the table and they take the little cask that they cook it in, turn it over, pull the cask out, and now it's like, yeah, it's a Chicago deep dish pizza, but it's all cooked the exact same way you cook a chicken pot pie.
So is it
I'm
like
in.
dough all around it, or is it crust?
Uh-huh.
I'm really confused about this. I'm not sure. Stuffed pizza. It's called
Yeah.
stuffed pizza.
Yeah, I'm in.
This place
I'm-
calls it
that-
pizza
that-
pot pie.
That sounds delicious.
I will try it, but
Yeah.
I'm confused by it.
The
for some
place you
reason.
go, this is how it works. They don't write anything down. They don't take card. Okay.
Okay.
You can get
I'm
it
in.
with or without meat, cheese,
Wait.
or extra cheese. Those are your options.
Okay, why are you getting a pizza without meat?
Because they're modern. Okay, they're a vegetarian option.
I know a couple of people that are actually like kind of allergic to like red meats, like their stomach doesn't digest it, so she gets really, really sick.
Right.
So-
you can also get it. Now that I was thinking about it, last time I was there, they had it with or without mushrooms as well.
Yeah. Well, I dated a girl in college who couldn't eat pork. So, but she loved pizza. But it was always, okay, so we're getting beef toppings. Yeah.
My perfect pizza is a beef and jalapeno and pepperoni with hot sauce on top.
Mm-hmm.
I want a bacon, lettuce, and tomato pizza right now.
Lettuce.
I fluctuate on pizza. I'll go to different pizza places. All of them have different things that make them special. So I don't have a specific, but a good deep dish pepperoni, but then a good thick crust combination pizza with everything on it.
That thin
there
and
too.
crunchy though, thin and crispy. Oh,
Yeah. A good Domino's pepperoni, thin and crispy. Yeah.
Ooh,
It's like eating a giant Ritz cracker.
we've descended.
I didn't understand that idea of a good Domino's, but okay.
Mine's a Papa John's. I like to get the thin crust Papa John's.
There is no such thing as good Papa John's.
I used to like
You
Papa
need to
John's,
come
and then
down here, Kyle.
I liked Papa John's for a while, and then I just something about it, their taste just kind of turned on me.
Yeah. We have a couple of actual like home little tiny places around here. There's actually one inside the shop that sells like just tastes like
There's a place that if you ever come, Dan, it's near where Paul works. Your co-host on Popular Raiders, Paul Story.
Used to work.
Sorry. Called Major Tomato.
Mm-hmm.
They have a pizza there where you get bison.
we have a
Nice.
burger place down here that has bison.
Yeah, I have bison in my fridge.
I have
Friend of mine
deer in
went
my fridge.
Yeah, a friend of mine went hunting. Yeah, a friend of mine went hunting and brought back a bunch of bison stuff, and it's like, oh, here, like, okay, so you drove out of state to murder and brought back souvenirs. Okay.
Now wait a minute.
We
I grew up on a 2,000-acre ranch with a whole herd of buffalo and bison. Okay,
Mhm.
you have to sometimes thin them out after you do the counts in the spring,
No,
and they're
I have-
very delicious.
I have no problem with that. I have no problem with killing for food. What I have a problem is for a guy to drive from California to Montana specifically to go hunting a bison.
Okay, that might be a little crazy then, yeah.
Yeah, because it's cheaper to go, can you just send that to me? Than to get the license, to get the gun, to the flight or drive to.
And then you have to have additional licenses to carry meat like that across state lines.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, then all you want to do is murder the animal. You're not getting it for the food. You want to kill something.
Oh, but they are delicious.
Oh, yeah. I love a good bison
Really
ribeye.
delicious. Mm.
All right. So it's Dan, you have a show in 3 minutes.
I know.
So let's wrap this up. In the comments is the link. I'm gonna put it one more time to Dan's Kickstarter for Karma. Right now he's at 36,700 even. 801 backers. If we get to one more before I stop talking, that would make my life happy.
And everybody, I appreciate you guys checking it out. I know it's a niche type genre, it's an erotic romance, but it's a fun story. It's a true romance, and if we do well enough, there'll be a sequel. So jump on board now.
I've read it. We want a sequel.
I'm super excited to read it.
So
I can make that happen.
Dan, where can people follow you and support your work?
All my websites are my name, so you can find me as Dan Wickline on Facebook, on Twitter. I think on Instagram it's DanWick70 because it was before I got into the whole naming thing.
Yeah.
But so most of the places you can just find me as Dan Wickline. Amazon as well. You can look up there. You'll realize I've written a lot of crap over the years. A lot of books over the years. Sometimes I forget all the books I've written. I have kids' books out there I've written. Talk about genres. I've written children's books.
And now I have a hunt to go do.
30 Days of Night, the children's book, the children's version.
I wrote the Royal Crown Mystery Detective League, or something to that effect. And I wrote a book called the something Monkey of the Monarch Apartments.
Monkey.
I still want the 30 Days of Night distilled for children. Anyhow, so everybody head over to Dan Wickline's YouTube channel now that we're wrapping this up and watch Pop Go the Raiders. It will be here in this approximate time slot. No, flip this 2 hours earlier than this, 3 hours earlier than this, a week from today if you miss it tonight.
Yeah. So I got to go meet Paul. I will see you guys later.
Hard. Thank you, Dan. I will see you on Tuesday, or see you tomorrow night, where you'll be appearing on Talking Shop with Miss Jen.
Yes. The first time actually talking to Miss Jen.
Ooh.
So,
and then I will see you on Tuesday for In Stores This Week and the Dan Wickline Show.
Thank you, Jenna.
Hey, and you guys will see me Thursday.
Mm-hmm. Well, Jenna can hang around once Dan takes off, and we'll talk about it. And then,
oh man, this was fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So Jenna's show that Jay in the comments is producing, and that Bean and Shanice are also on, Space Cadets. We're gonna have to come up with a way to for marketing reasons, we're gonna have to come up with a way to signify that there are 2 E's and 2 T's at the end.
Well, if you talk about the store, it's Space Cadets Collection.
Right, but maybe we should make a shirt that says. Maybe we should make a shirt that says 2 E's and 2 T's. I don't know. Write that down, Jay.
Get on it. Sean is the one who usually does all of our shirts and stuff. So
right, but as a producer, Jay, write that down, put it on a list, and then make Sean do it later.
Yes. Yes. Oh my goodness.
So that show is going to debut Thursday. Tell people what it is, Jenna.
So it is me and Bean and Shanice. We all work at Space Cadets Collection here in Oak Ridge, Texas, just north of Houston. And we have things to say about comics. And it's really cool because we do sort of not just the female perspective of newer comics too. It's also sort of giving spotlights to female artists and creators. And not just female, it's also everybody part of the LGBTQ, the Alphabet Mafia. Just giving us the outside sort of look to comics, just, yeah.
I've been telling people it's our version of The View.
Yeah. But, more fun.
Mm-hmm.
Cause get a little bit of everything. We read we get so many indie comics in our store. And we love reading them so much because Bean is also on a show with Miss Jen called Minute to Skim It, where she gets to read all the news books every week. So it's really cool. She gets to bring in new stuff. Me and she's talk about the older stuff. She talks a lot about Marvel and DC. I talk a lot about the old school indies and stuff like that. And we just sort of get to put it all together and we get to tell you guys about it. And then of course we always descend into chaos too, because that's just how we talk, one thing to other things. Because that's what we all are. We're some kind of chaotic energy there.
Right. You all have attention deficit disorder.
Just a little.
Yeah. Nope. This show is brought to you by Dave, dopamine averse dopamine averse variable executive dysfunction. Formerly ADD. So that show is Tuesday, immediately following Thursday.
Thursday.
Immediately following What's in the Box. So that'll be super fun.
Yes. I'm excited. I can't
All
wait.
right.
We've been working on this for 2 months now. I'm so glad that it's finally get to show you guys. I'm so excited.
Very cool. So, for the rest of you out there who aren't Jay, who knows this, make sure you turn in Thursday for that. And then February, be watching out for our announcements for February as we prepare our next Black Comics Universe. And I'm going to announce right now, just because that backs us into a quarter and makes us do it, that March is Women in Comics Month. March is Women's History Month, so we're going to do a Women in Comics event similar to this, where I won't sit in the chair nearly as much because I'm not a Women in Comics. But we will certainly get that taken care of and be having that event in March. So make sure you follow us on all the social media. Hit subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook. Hit the likes. Hit the thumbs up. Follow us on Twitch. It's been this year has been the wildest year of my comics life. It's been the best year of my comics life. So
3 weeks into it. I don't know.
Well, I'm talking about the previous year.
Oh,
starting
yes,
January 15th, 2021.
Yes.
When the day we launched the experience.
Yes, it's been
to now. So
been a crazy year, and I'm so thankful and happy that you guys welcomed me into the experience. What are words right now?
Well, it's the experience experiment.
Yeah, back in April. So I've been with you guys since April, and I love it. I love 90% of the stuff.
The 10% she doesn't like is where she has to look at her own face on camera.
Yeah,
and get
pretty
self-conscious.
much. Yeah.
I know that feel. I look at myself on camera all the time and go, ooh.
Yeah.
I'm
always looking at it like I should have done a different color, but I love this color.
Well, I'm looking at it going, I maybe should trim my beard or, seen the sun in the last year so I'm not so pale. Like there are no lights on in this room. My skin is just radiating that brightness.
Oh.
So, yeah. So, all right, guys. Before we descend further into madness, we will see you all tomorrow at 5:00 for Talking Shop with Miss Jen. And then following that will be Comics Collectibles, a show which will be taking on a new name very soon, actually. Yeah, we're going to do a little rebrand on Comics Collectibles, but Comics Collectibles will be here on Monday following Talking Shop. That's at 6 p.m. Eastern. And then at 8 p.m. Eastern, we have Mishmash. Live from Space Cadets Collection. And we will see everybody next time.